Hello, and welcome to Derry. I'm Lindsey Dunn, your host of the One of My Stories podcast, and with me today is your other host from the Sweet Child of Time podcast. I'm thinking it's time for us to hit the road in our own clown act, and our clown names will be Peppercorn and Peanut Butter, to stick with the P names. It's Steve Barnes, ahoy!
Ahoy, Lindsey. Hey, I like this. Which one am I?
I don't know. What do you want, peppercorn or peanut butter?
Peppercorn has such a good, peppy, umph to it, but I'm more of a peanut butter fan myself. So I'll let you be Peppercorn. Because I'd have a lot of fun saying that. Here comes a peppercorn.
It's the Peppercorn and Peanut Butter Act. Ringling Brothers proudly presents.
Except it's not really fun because, it is fun, but we're friends. They're like, oh, these are friends and podcast hosts. We're not a father and daughter duo. So that really adds some zing to their act, I think.
But if we're in clown makeup and attire, nobody can see what we look like.
Oh, that's right. They won't even know if we're, what gender we are or anything. Just silly
how
clowns.
Old we are. They won't know anything. They won't know jack. What are you talking about?
I think I can come up with a better ending for our act though than a tombstone. I don't know if that was the best closer in the world.
You're getting ahead of yourself, Steve.
Well, I'm thinking about our act and what I don't want to do. That's all.
Okay. Well, we can get into that in just a minute. But here we are at episode 7.
Yeah, the black spot.
Yes.
The much adoed black spot. This is been a really bad kept secret on the internet, right? Everybody knew this was going to happen.
Was it a secret?
No, but it shouldn't have been as out in the open as it was that this was going to happen. It reminded me of Game of Thrones once again, of the Red Wedding, how that was a famous scene that everybody who read the books knew it was coming, but they kind of kept their mouth shut about it so that the people who watched the show could enjoy it for what it's coming up. And, I'm part of another Discord, the Bald Move Discord. This leads perfectly into what this one individual said just moments ago. His name is Cincinnati Joe on the Bald Move Discord. He said, first off, the downside. No, not first off. This is the whole point. The downside to listening to podcasts is that I wouldn't have known the black spot would have been burned down. So it made that whole scene less impactful. Which, that's kind of our fault, Lindsey. We did that to him. We're the podcast he's talking about.
Well, dear, oh dear. Well, what was this person's name again?
Cincinnati Joe.
Okay, well, before we talk about Cincinnati Joe's thoughts about the episode, what was your overall reaction, Steve? Or should I say peanut butter?
That's right. Get my name right, poppycock. What was your name?
Peppercorn.
Peppercorn. Well, I feel like it's kind of obvious here because I really, really enjoyed and loved it. I enjoyed the last episode, and this one I think was a really good tone setter. It kind of fit in with the last episode as well. That was a good lead up to this one. I liked the single shot. I'm a big sucker for that. So anytime you're going to have a show that's going to have one big long action shot, I'm always going to be on board. Yeah, I thought that the one death that they gave us this episode wasn't as impactful. It didn't hit me as much as I was hoping it would. That's my own fault. Beyond that, I really liked where we went with this episode, and I like what it gave us. It gave us a lot of fun lore to talk about, at least in my opinion anyway. So yeah, I got to pass it back to you then. What are you thinking about this episode? My
feelings about this episode are complicated.
Oh,
I will have to say.
Like a Facebook status.
Right. So the events of the black spot were wonderful, and not wonderful, but it was tragic.
What?
Wonderfully tragic.
Yes.
Wonderfully tragic. The build-up and how the episode went in that. But I feel like, in a way, the power of the black spot was sort of taken away from us because, in my head, the black spot was the big climax. But It turns out there's more coming.
Right.
So I thought that all the crazy stuff was going to go down this week.
Mm-hmm.
And we did get the black spot,
Mm-hmm.
but there are these other scenes they keep teasing with the patty cakes and all the kids getting swiped, facing
Mm-hmm.
down Pennywise. All of that is yet to happen, and it's coming next week. And
Yeah.
so it felt a little bit like the Muschietis and their team sort of took something away from the black spot to not make that the big hurrah. And we knew that this was going to be the black spot this week. We thought maybe the last week would be reserved for the fallout and kind of the cleanup, rehabilitation afterwards, closing things in as we get ready for season 2, or sort of they could have been leaning towards, well, we know what will happen in the 80s, in the next cycle.
Right.
But there was this great opener for the episode, and
Oh, right.
I'm intrigued what will happen now, but it feels like they sort of stole from the black spot by not making that the big closer. So I guess I feel like they took the scene itself was powerful, and I think was given a lot of weight. The first time I watched it, I was able to watch it twice. The first time I watched it, I was like, I feel that it wasn't maybe given enough weight. And now I feel like it was given enough weight, but then there's more coming.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like they sort of took something away from it, if that makes sense, what I'm saying. It's like, this isn't actually the big, because in our idea, the augury was over. Pennywise was supposed to go to sleep, but because of their new plot twist, then there's an actual, like, a bigger climax than even the black spot coming.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to disagree with you or tell you that you're wrong, because you're not wrong, that this is your opinion. But I do think that next week, I am very much looking forward to next week, because when you ask me later on in this episode what I think is going to happen next week, I'm going to say, well, now that the black spot has happened, and now that there's a bar free that Pennywise can get out, and his cycle has been broken just now, it's kind of up in the air what's going to happen next week. I think we're about to see like a worldwide rollout of Pennywise instead of being trapped in Derry for so long. I think that's kind of how they ended this episode, with the anticipation of what's coming, is like he's free from his cage and he's actually not asleep. He woke up.
Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves sort of by talking about next week already.
I know
I brought it up, but I'm saying I'm just disappointed that this isn't the big closer. It's not.
Gotcha.
There's something else. And I feel like whatever else is happening in the town could have somehow gone into the black spot. Like all these kids that are from the high school, in theory, if I remember correctly from the books, the lore is that there were white kids at the black spot, a lot more than just one.
Right.
We saw one that gets talked to, but it's almost like the kids from the high school could have been at the black spot too, and then Pennywise uses that advantage, blah, blah, blah. But I thought this was going to be the big climax, and kind of leading up to this, oh, now he's out of the cage. It feels a little confusing, because in my estimation, or what my analysis, or what they've been teasing through the stuff, this cycle is actually less than. Pennywise used to be more powerful, or the damage that he used to do each cycle is progressively has gotten less over time.
Sure.
So how can he now have worldwide access to, being let out of the cage right before the 80s? It's a little confusing.
I can't help but answer that. We saw what was supposed to be the augury happen. 23 people dead. He was satiated. He went to sleep. But then because the cage was open, he woke back up. Augury is, the cycle has been broken now. Augury is not done. Now more damage will be done. I don't know. I'm kind of excited to see what's going to happen next with that. And I feel it's timed out okay. I think that the black spot did dominate this episode, the first half of this episode. And it's exciting to see that something big more is going to be happening from that.
Yeah, it did take half of the episode, but so where did that thing come from that it was going to be an hour and 40 minutes? Like,
I don't know, Lindsey. You tell me. You told me that.
Somebody posted it on the socials, and I guess I just read it. Maybe
was somebody wrong.
Yeah, just the way that the trailers happened too. They kept they have these scenes of like Leroy and Taniel, and obviously that's coming next week,
Right.
bringing more of Taniel and Rose back into the fold. I feel like the way that they built up the black spot, I just thought it was going to be the all-encompassing thing. And now it's not. There's something else coming that's going to be even greater. So I didn't like that. I don't like that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming at this with different perspectives and different attitudes, it looks like, because I'm pretty giddy with excitement, and I liked where this left me.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm excited too about next week. I just thought that this was supposed to be the big episode.
Yeah.
And it turns out it's actually next week.
Maybe Winter Fire will be the episode that's going to be hour and 40 minutes. And if it's not, then you can go back to that person who wrote that and tell them that they were wrong. And you can give them a lot of frowny face emojis.
Okay. I will have my emojis ready. All right, so before we go into characters, we have space here. We have a spot we can talk about feedback or Easter eggs. So what would you like to do?
Yeah, let's do a couple of Easter eggs here. I'm going to get us started with the most obvious one, I think, and it leads to a little bit of something funny that I saw. Easter egg that I saw was Andy Muschietti once more playing a role in the circus. He played like a musician early on in the episode. And I saw like an Instagram reel that showed every time Andy Muschietti had shoved himself in the background of a camera of his own work. And he does it a lot, apparently. So, this is just another notch in his belt to throw himself in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm. Well, I only have one more Easter egg besides that one. Okay. So I'll say my one and then you can say anything else you had.
Okay.
When Bob Gray and Ingrid are in their trailer putting on makeup, he mentions the Santini brothers.
Okay.
And it's not really an Easter egg, probably, but I did think it was good that the Santini brothers is actually mentioned in the book It. So it's mentioned that was the name of the circus that Pennywise was in. So he's not just spinning off random facts. It's canon that the circus was presented by the Santini brothers.
No, that's a 100% legitimate Easter egg because I didn't catch that. And now I just did through the power of podcasts. So thanks for that Kitchener Ironwork Easter egg. That was a good one. Yeah, we can't get out of this circus here. My next Easter egg is also in the circus. Pennywise is doing the classic dancing Pennywise dance that he does where he does his little feet thing. So I thought that was cool. Definitely a callback to the movie because that's where that became popular. And even the little kids that jumped on stage were doing the Pennywise too. So it's going to be like a new dance like Flossin' or whatever.
I know. It's going to be the new Fortnite dance.
Yeah, that's it. And then I only have one other one that really stuck out to me. And that was a quote from another Stephen King work, The Storm of the Century, when the Clint Bowers came in and he said, "Give us what we want and we go away." It's a direct line for line quote when the evil bad guy that was holding hostages in Storm of the Century said the exact same thing. So I think that was a nod to Stephen King for sure.
So I heard that mentioned on a different podcast today.
Oh.
I thought it was sort of funny because the line itself, even if it is a quote from this book, the line actually seems pretty tropish.
Yes.
I feel like that kind of a line has probably been said in many movies before. Give us what we want, you'll go, and this will go away. So I was like, I don't think it's that unique, but sure.
It's not, but again, pivotal lines said at a pivotal moment by a pivotal bad guy to a room full of people.
Right.
It's
just a plain white egg, but it's still an egg.
Come on. It's got a little pink stripe around it. See, it's definitely an Easter egg.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but that's all we got. Didn't get a whole lot this week because so much other big stuff is happening. Like the black spot's not an Easter egg. Ingrid being revealed is not an Easter egg. Stanley the Cleaver is not an Easter egg necessarily. There's a lot of things that could be Easter eggs, but they're part of our main story, and we'll be talking about them all.
Yep. And just know that I actually have a section he cleaved out at the end for the black spot itself, like the way it was filmed, so we can save that for the end.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to talk about our characters right now. So our first group is actually a square instead of a triangle.
Yeah, I like this.
It's sort of a crooked or an off-balance square because one of the points is less important than everybody else. But we have Ingrid / Periwinkle, Bob Gray, Pennywise. So we're going to actually talk about Bob Gray as separate from Pennywise or separate from our entity. And then Urchin Boy. Actually, there's 5. Sorry, because I didn't have that before. Bob Gray and Pennywise, the Urchin Boy, and Stan Kirsch. So It's actually like a trapezoid.
Well, not really, because Bob Gray is his own person, but Pennywise / Urchin Boy is kind of the same entity.
Okay, fair enough.
And first, I want to ask you. I mean, I ask you because you're smart. You're a librarian, and I didn't bother to look this up. People call young kids in this age urchins. Isn't urchin like a type of animal? Is that where that comes from, or is that just a term for a street kid?
I've never heard it used for a animal before.
Okay,
it could be an animal. I did not look that up. I just saw the name urchin. This is
That's
the
what they
same
call
thing
them.
as maybe when I think of urchin, the first thing I think of is Oliver Twist.
Exactly. Yes. This is a little evil Oliver Twist coming out and saying more. No, he's not saying more. He's saying please. Anyway.
So where do you want to start with this fun little group here?
Yeah, let's start right at the beginning. Like, this is a pretty big day in the circus here. Like the birth of Periwinkle and the death of Bob Gray happens on the very same day.
That's true. So yeah, we could start by saying that we get to see more about Periwinkle and her life with her father at the circus. The good old days, that she's helping him with his act when she's a kid.
Yeah, she's the Foley artist back there.
Yeah, the Foley artist, or you could say she's the one pulling the levers. She's the one helping with the props. She's pushing the tombstone out. I mean, there was another dude that's helping with some stuff too. And of course, we have Andy Muschietti back there helping with the music man. This is a pretty elaborate show that he set up. We've got
put a lot of work into that.
Yeah.
There's little animals he's got set up there. And his whole story has this arc too, where, he's got the animals that he's trying to kill. And then he finds his wife deceased. And then he mourns her with, I talked about this earlier, that's a terrible setting for a kid's performance, but he makes it work somehow because he's at his wife's grave and he's crying, but then one of the beavers from the first act comes up and, I guess is a mournful pallbearer or something and gives him a little burst of joy.
It's the same gopher. He's just a mischievous gopher that is taking all the flowers before Pennywise can take the flowers. The gopher intervenes, but when he sees him crying and upset, then he has a change of heart and decides to give him those flowers. But yeah, it's kind of a macabre show that he's put together here. But it reminded me of when they used to do Punch and Judy shows. A lot of those were pretty macabre, where you'd have a husband and wife. Punch and Judy, the little puppets, it was always those two were going at it. They were a married couple, a married puppet couple. And, the man would be throttling the wife's neck, and then the other one would chop the other's head off. So these kind of circus acts or children's acts have always had sort of a dark twist to them. I guess they know that kids like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I said earlier that the end of his little act was him sitting at her grave with the beaver or gopher, but that's not quite right. He does have a kind of a big ending where he comes out and he does the Pennywise dance.
Right.
And that's when the kids rush on the stage and they're doing the Pennywise dance too. His wig falls off a few times and Ingrid laughs at him when that happens. And when she's talking to him backstage, and before she reveals herself, they're just kind of chit-chatting or whatever. Yeah, you got the sense that they had like a nice relationship, that he was a good, sad dad, basically. Like a nice, sad dad that kind of drowns his sorrows in alcohol. And she reveals, like she's like, I'm like you, Dad. I'm I'm a clown too. And he's impressed immediately. He immediately is impressed. And there's that one moment where they kind of get a little mistful because he gives her the name that his wife had. And I guess that means a lot to her. Well, I mean, she's going to carry this day with her for the rest of her life, obviously, because, I don't know if she ever got a chance to be Periwinkle. I assume she did go on to continue doing that. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll find out later. But this definitely it led her on a path that the path ended today. Like when we saw the black spot, we're seeing like a big chapter of hers.
Yeah, her dreams have died at this point. What did you think of that when the kids rioted on stage? I was thinking, oh my gosh, these kids are going to hurt this guy. And it didn't seem like Pennywise, Bob Gray was necessarily that happy about these kids coming on stage and stealing the wig. They sort of interrupted his show. And I wondered if this was a usual thing that happens because the kids like him so much, so he gets them all wound up, or if it's just the children of Derry that this happens with.
I think it was bad security that day, honestly. I think there was supposed to be some carny up there that was supposed to, kind of keep the kids in line and, tell the kids what to do, like while, you know what I'm saying? Like there's usually like somebody that's kind of like in charge of that kind of thing, a stage manager type. And I think that they weren't around. Maybe that guy at the beginning who introduced them was supposed to hold the kids back. I don't think that's normally what happens. And I think it's that occurrence. I think it's a, one of those kismet occurrences, because this is when the urchin boy is watching him and he sees all the kids rush on stage. And that's when he has the idea like, oh, if I put on that clown costume and do that dance, all the kids will come running to me. So, I think that's what I got from it anyway. Like, I didn't really think much about like the logic of the situation. I was just like, that's, this is where Pennywise is getting his ideas.
Right. It's the genesis of him using this form. Yeah. But I also thought it was just kind of interesting that the kids sort of went wild. And in a way, I wondered if the entity was like, oh, these kids deserve what they get because look how wild they are.
Oh.
And it just struck me that usually when we think of kids, the way that they've been depicted in the It universe, the kids are sweet. I mean, they have obviously tendencies, things they do, like they curse, they sneak out of their parents' house, but in general, they're portrayed as innocent beings, like they're things that are good that we want to protect. And in this case, we had these kids sort of mobbing the stage, and also the fact that we've usually seen Pennywise luring kids in, and here we have a kid luring in Bob Gray. So it's kind of reverse psychology here.
Sure, but think about where we are. We're at Derry right now, and the water is contaminated, and it's not any time in Derry because 27 years of peace, that happens every 27 years. And that's what the Native Americans told us, like, now there's going to be peace. And that's what Shaw said. Now there's going to be peace. Now the augury happened. This is 1908. And there's a thing that's about to happen. It's a peak year for it to be feeding. So yes, the kids are acting out of hand because of that. I think it's like feeding frenzy time.
We also have sort of, though, a kind of double or multiple personality here with Bob Gray. He's one way in front of his daughter, but in private, he's a different way.
Yeah.
He sort of portrays himself as optimistic. He tells her, luck is just around the corner. I'm going to be back in the saddle again. He doesn't say that exactly, but he kind of says he has hope and that he thinks things are going to go better. But then when he's in the back drinking with his wig off,
Yeah.
He looks really unhappy.
Yes.
And, even that kid says, "Will you help me?" And he's like, "No way, kid. Get away from me."
That's what he says. Yeah.
He does help him, but
Yes.
he's obviously either already an alcoholic or he's on his way.
Yeah.
So it seemed like it gets into that, how sometimes parents feel like they have to put on a good act in front of their kids, or, be one way, but they might have
Sure.
a different face when they're in private.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is down. I mean, yeah, he's used to the big crowds, and he's on a roadside circus now, and his wife is dead. And yeah, he's depressed. And this kid comes up, and the kid is leering at him, and he's like, "Scram, kid, get out of here." I don't think that's anything unusual or like out of the ordinary. I think that makes him very human. It makes our Bob Gray a very human person. Nice to his daughter. He's not going to drink and be crappy around her, which I think says, a decent thing about his character.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of the urchin boy, the last thing I really had about this whole thing was like the urchin boy only went as far as he could. He came to the edge of the woods. He couldn't go beyond and much further than he did. He had to lure Bob Gray into the woods because of the pillars, I guess.
Right. He had to sort of come on the edge of town. And boy, they did a great job. I was trying to figure out who this kid was.
Mm-hmm.
It's Oliver Curtin. I was like, this must be a famous kid. He has hardly any, because I thought he did a fantastic job. I was like, boy, his delivery of his lines, his eye movements, he looked a lot like the entity does. So I was like, I did not give him my MVP, but I almost considered it, because I was just like, this kid is going places. Oliver Curtin, you did a great job. The creepy person that lures Bob Gray to his death.
Has he been in anything else?
No. He's been in a couple of things. He's been in The Boys. He was in like The Boys for some scene.
Okay. That's cool. I mean, yeah, keep an eye on this guy. He's got a cool name too, Oliver Curtin. You're not going to forget that.
Yeah.
Like when me and James were doing Time Bandits, there was one episode where they were like in the Mayan culture, and there was a Mayan queen, and the actress that played her was just such a natural. She was just so funny. Her line delivery was great. And it just seemed like she was just, I was like, I got to see what else she's been in. And this was like her very first like speaking role she ever had on anything was on What We Saw Her. So I think just some people just have like a natural talent, like from the get-go, that's like undeniable. Maybe this kid has it for you.
Mm-hmm. So then we see the circus people going, "Oh, he's been drugged by wolves or whatever," and
Right.
they bring Ingrid the handkerchief
Yeah.
of her father, labeled RG for Robert Gray.
Right. It was nasty. Why did they give that to her?
I don't know, something to remember your Papa by.
Yeah, rinse it out first. I mean, that was terrible.
That would be
like,
removing evidence.
That too. Yeah, exactly.
Sweet Child of Time is brought to you by Zencastr. Zencastr is the way we record Sweet Child of Time. We hook up with our guests via video and we record it on audio. Recently, we've been doing video podcasts with the cast of Time Bandits. It's easy using Zencastr. You can record video or audio. You can also edit your podcast or your video via Zencastr. Join Zencastr using my promo code Sweet Child of Time, and you can get 30% off Zencastr. If you're ready to start your podcast, it's time to share your story. Share it with Zencastr. That promo code once again, Sweet Child of Time at Zencastr.com.
Okay, so then moving forward a little bit to the black spot, we got to keep with this group. So we see them at the beginning. Then we go over to the black spot, and now we have Pennywise shows up at the black spot to feed off the chaos, and he doesn't really eat that many people that we see. I mean, he could have had more digestion going on than it's on the camera, but I saw somebody in the group made a joke that he ate 2 people and went and took a nap. That's how they're like, that was supposed to be the big deal, but here he ate 2 people and took a nap.
Well, that's true. But then when we see him in his lair, like later on the episode, he's like surrounded, like encased in bodies and blood. So I think he like eats a little bit of snack, like an appetizer during the event. And then he takes all the rest of it home for like the big meal and dessert later. I think that's how that works out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the way they meet up is, we were right. It was Ingrid that made that phone call to tip off the police. And she's surprised. She shows up because she wants to see Pennywise and they get that reunion, but she's surprised by Stanley there. Well, she's not really surprised. She doesn't seem surprised at all.
No.
I guess she maybe knew that Pennywise was gonna slice off his head, perhaps, or that's what she was hoping would happen.
Well, okay, she did not seem surprised or disappointed that Stan went out the way he did.
Oh no, not disappointed at all.
She's just like, "Hello, Papa," and then she's just excited. All she cares about is seeing her father again.
I mean, I was excited too. This was a really neat scene. You know, Stan gives her a little bit of business, like, go home and take that stuff off your face and make my dinner again.
Right.
And he gets a cleaver. That's very, again, very kismet that he got chopped with a cleaver. And did you catch the radio host that was later on talking about the tragedy of this speakeasy, illegal speakeasy, and some fine citizens from town, including Stanley Kirsch, like heroically drove in to like save the day. So Stanley dies a hero, right?
Oh boy. Yep. And also he's complimented for the way he would slice the meat. I can't remember what the guy said, but nobody could braise a pork chop like you or something like that.
Nobody could butter a brisket the way.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, so he gets a good death though. But yeah, I mean, Ingrid didn't seem surprised or disappointed that Stan went out this way.
She didn't seem surprised that her dad started eating Stanley's head either. I would think that would be an immediate turnoff. That wasn't an immediate turnoff though, because she gave him a hug after that. What must it be like to hug Pennywise?
And because it's not till later that she says, "You're not my father." And I was thinking, what gave that away? Because like, what did he do to finally make you understand that?
It was built up in the dialogue. It really made sense in the moment because the way the dialogue progressed, like she eventually figured out it wasn't him. But he did seem like him though, because he asked her to do the bow and the horn thing, which is so funny. Like she does the bow and then that pathetic horn goes, "Purr."
Yeah. Did you notice that she's out of practice with the horn? Because she did it pretty good at the beginning of the episode when she's a child, but maybe she hasn't played it.
I disagree. Both times it was like the same like comedic, because I think it's supposed to be a comedic horn that's supposed to sound pathetic like that. And that's like part of the joke. But I don't know, Pennywise like clapped and said she did a good job and laughed at the right parts. So he played off like he was Bob Gray for a bit there until, he started being a little creepy and talking about stuff a little too much.
I think that when he said she did good, it wasn't anything to do with the clown act. It was about getting everybody together at the Black Spot, planning this social event that she did.
Yes, but that's the first thing she said to him was like, "I wanted you to tell me that I did good." And so he did tell her that she did good. So like, she did good. You did good, Ingrid.
But then they have a disagreement where he's like, "I'm going to sleep." And she grabs his arm and then he catches her in the deadlights.
That's when she realizes, the whole sleep thing. That's when she like kind of clues in and figures it out and gets upset. And Pennywise does do the deadlight thing and he like hypnotizes her. Now, when Pennywise, or it, we should say, does the deadlights, it can either kill you or it can hypnotize you or it can put you like in a catatonic state. It's kind of unclear what it's going to do. So in Ingrid's case, well, before I get to that, really what I wanted to ask you was something that Heather said. I was watching this with my wife, Heather, of course. And when the show was over, she was like, "Yeah, I really like the way that like his face opened up, like the Demogorgon in Stranger Things." Is Heather right? Is that like a Stranger Things thing that happens? And is that credited to Stranger Things? Or is this like Stranger Things copying an existing Stephen King thing?
Look, pretty much all of Stranger Things is copied off of Stephen King's universe.
Okay.
But, I don't remember Demogorgon's heads opening up. I could be wrong. I don't always look at the manner in which people's murders take place. It's
Okay.
like, it's a monster, it's a beast.
Oh, you had your eyes. That's why. Okay. Yes, I get it.
Yeah.
I do that too.
I don't always hide my eyes, but sometimes, like I said, these shows to me sometimes blend together.
Okay.
But one thing I will never say is that anything Stephen King did copied Stranger Things, because it's the total opposite.
That's what I thought too.
So much of this episode, especially, I thought the way that he catches her in the deadlights and then she floats up, it looks a lot like when Vecna is hypnotizing somebody. But what we need to say is that I think it's very unclear when we look at Ingrid Kirsch now what we're looking at. Is this still Ingrid Kirsch as we knew her? Is she still the daughter? Or is she now, has Ingrid actually been killed and this is a Pennywise special event? Because it was interesting that woman, the woman that was outside, just starts laughing.
Right, exactly.
Now that's something that when people go through trauma, that's sometimes what people do. They laugh inappropriately.
That was my first thought, right.
Right. But the way that Ingrid's kind of looking at this creature, and I'm sure they're going to reveal next episode if Mrs. Kirsch is still around.
Yeah.
But looking at this did make me think back to Beverly, because in the It movies, the Muschietti It movies, Beverly is taken by it at one point, and I don't think this is in the books the same way. I think this might have been something they had in the movies. The Losers Club has sort of broken up, and Beverly ends up being taken by Pennywise
as bait,
and that's why the rest of the Losers Club goes down to get her. But it is kind of interesting how she has this complicated father-daughter relationship.
Sure.
It made me think about Beverly, seeing this happen to Ingrid, because in the movies, Beverly is caught in the deadlights, but she's not immediately killed. She's being kept, like you said, as bait. But when Pennywise catches her in the deadlights, why does he do that? Because he could have eaten her. It looked like he was about to enjoy a snack. He was when she hugged him, he was he opened his mouth and looked like he was considering it.
Right. I can answer that. The deadlights, I think the deadlights is what it uses when it wants to utilize someone, not as food.
Okay.
Utilize them as bait or as a stand-in or as a patsy or etc. So, when he puts Ingrid in the deadlights and she does a little floaty thing, so we know that he's going to be using her to some way. He wasn't using her before. She was doing everything of her own accord. Right. But now she's going to be directly linked to it. And like when she did like that eye open thing, that was real creepy. And as she's being wheeled away, and I guess she's going to Juniper Hill. That's where you take people who are catatonic and whatever, either to the hospital or Juniper Hill. And she did that eye lock thing with the kids. Yeah, I truly believe that she is going to be like a liaison or like a entity of it, that it's going to be used. That when we see her next, we're only going to be seeing like its version of her, not the actual real live Ingrid. That's my suspicion anyway.
Well, I didn't even think about the fact that she's probably being taken to Juniper Hill.
That's where she works. And might kill two birds with one stone. She can clean up while she's recovering.
Yeah, that's very true. So I'm just curious what they're going to do with her at this point. If the Ingrid that we know we've met in this show is still around, or if she's totally a clone.
Oh yeah, she ain't dead yet.
Yeah. And I guess we've already talked about Stan. His public face. He had a public face of acceptance when he meets Charlotte, and we kind of find out it was all an act. We already suspected that.
He let that one girl go. He was the guy that let that girl go when he was like, "Hey, what are you doing in this club? You're a nice girl. Get out of here." That was Stan that did that too. Not that that was a good move or anything like that, but just more hints at his character of what kind of person he is. I'm still not in love with this Stan guy, especially the way they gave him like this hero's end. Like he went there to like save people. I hate that's how they're going to remember him when we know these guys are all straight up like cold murderers. Mm-hmm. Except for that one dude. I wanted to mention, like, we're talking about Stan. When everybody clears out of there and Stan's car stalls out, we see that one white dude that like looks like he's like really appalled at what they have done. He like seems like the only person that seems to even register that. And I'm not sure why they showed us him, because he's just a stand-in background actor. But I just thought it was interesting.
That is Phil and Susie's dad, Mr. Malkin.
Oh, it is. Okay.
He was the one that said, "I'm not leaving until I know that Hank is dead." So I didn't think of it necessarily as full out regret.
Okay.
But
okay.
I think there is a level of regret. And what I took from that is kind of the fact that, we know that there's the augury and that people are under a increased level of aggression. Mm-hmm. So perhaps after a while, it sort of wears off and then you're like, wait, what happened? But that's real life. People get in the moment, can get wound up doing something, and then they're not necessarily acting as they would. Or I think the way I looked at it is, remember how we talked about Vincent Chin and how that guy, that white person, just killed him with a baseball bat. You wouldn't think, and the judge said, this is not the kind of man that you send to prison.
Right. So
people do these things and you think, I could never do something like that. But here he participated because he got wound up. Sure. He got into the right mood for it. And I think he's coming down from the adrenaline of that. And yeah, probably that's what you're seeing. He's a little bit mortified at what he's done. And not to the point, though, where he's going to turn himself in.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was worth mentioning. And it's really interesting knowing that he's, those kids' parents. So I'm kid's dad. So yeah, I'm glad I brought it up then.
Yeah. I mean, I was hoping at least somebody would say, hey, there's kids in there.
Exactly.
The idea was they wanted to get vengeance on Hank Grogan.
Yeah, only Hank. If Hank had like given up and they had strong-armed Hank out of there, then I guess they wouldn't have burned the place down. Then the augury would not have happened. And so then another tragedy probably would have happened in that case. Another little game of what if.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to our next group.
Yeah.
We've got Rich, Marge, and Lily.
The kids.
The knight, the pirate, and Gollum.
And yeah, exactly. That's okay. Yeah. Let's start with her because she doesn't do a whole lot this episode.
Right. I just didn't know where to put her, to be honest.
Yeah. This is a great place to talk about her. Yeah. Gollum is correct because, we saw her acting Gollumish last episode, but this episode was even more so, where like her dog was scared of her. Did you notice that?
There was something up with the dog. I couldn't tell if it was fear or if the dog was more worried about his owner and he could do something off with her. Maybe it was, when I'm anxious, they tell me my cat can feel it.
Sure.
Right.
I think the minute the door was able to be open and he could get out, that dog ran out. So I do think it was scared. And I do think that she had it's interesting you say Gollum, because I made that comment to someone in that same Bald Move Discord, is that she went from being like a part-time Gollum to like a full-time Gollum this episode. She's all gray looking too. And she has that same grayish look that Maddie had. So I'm kind of curious to see what's going to be happening next episode with Lily. I mean, I guess it's got to be the dagger doing this to her, because she did not get caught in no deadlights. We definitely did not see any deadlights happen with her, and it didn't happen off screen.
Yeah, she's not looking well. at least her mother is Mrs. Bainbridge, seems a little more concerned. She's
a little bit.
Yeah, she's kind of a little more in tune this week. But I was kind of interested how when the girls showed up, Marge and Ronnie, when they showed up to tell her about Rich, I was wondering how she would react, if she would be like, why should I care about you? And I said, I'm crazy, but she did say, oh no, what happened? So she's at least for the moment able to relate with her friends and to feel something for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, she looks really ill. And obviously it's the Shard doing this. And yeah, I'm still hoping that somehow she'll be able to give it to Rose or Taniel.
Yeah, she better. And she does seem like quote unquote okay, because we even see her past this scene. We see her like up in the standpipe later on, helping clear out Rich's stuff. So like the last time we see Lily, she's in the midst of a group hug with her other gal pals. Yeah. So we know that, she's more or less okay.
Right.
Even though she doesn't seem it.
I don't have anything else really to say about her. But yeah, I do. We've seen the trailer. She's with the group. So hopefully she'll snap out of whatever's going on.
Or maybe she'll like, I don't know, maybe she'll become like a portal of good somehow and become like the stuttering Bill of our story and like face it head on somehow, because she's got this dagger and she's got this power and she looks gray. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking since they didn't really use her at the Black Spot, she will have some sort of major part in this last episode. She'll have her moment.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like she's like it seemed like they were kind of building her up to be like the leader of the group, like the main person of this group. And she definitely was not this episode. And yeah, you didn't put Will in with this group. You put him with his parents. I think also because Will didn't do a whole lot. I think a lot of the action hinged on Marge and Rich this episode.
Yeah, he's got his moment at the end of the episode. But yeah, let's talk about Rich and Marge. We've got the Titanic situation again.
That's what I wrote down.
Jack and Rose. Could Jack have fit on the raft?
And this also was like the internet's worst kept secret, that Rich was going to die. Because if you go on any Welcome to Derry board up until like yesterday, everybody was saying how Rich is going to die in episode 7. It's like everybody kind of knew about the black spot and they knew Rich was going to die. And that played out exactly. Like there was no big surprise here from the Muschettis for us. That's exactly what happened.
I wasn't on the boards, Steve. I was surprised.
Oh, you were really?
Yeah.
Seriously. You're in the same group I'm in. Like you didn't.
I didn't see anybody. I mean, people say all kinds of things. Doesn't mean it's true. I didn't see anybody saying Rich was going to die. I knew that was a rumor from several weeks back because everybody was like, oh, this is this person's parents and this is this person's parents.
Right.
Which is very silly, but it's something people do, that they have to think everybody's related to everybody else.
Yep. Well, I mean, we kind of figured out the Marge thing. They really telegraphed that really strongly. And then having this kid named Rich, when we knew a character named Richie was in the Losers Club, it was all intentional. I mean, they did a very good job with the marketing and with the online chatter, I think, with this show. I think they did perfect. And I don't want to give Rich any short change here. As I said before, like his night-like death did not like really hit me the same way I thought it would. Maybe because I knew it was coming, because it definitely has been chatter, and I've definitely have been on board with that, knowing that I was pretty much thinking he was going to die this episode too. So I wasn't surprised. But I guess the emotions just didn't run right for me. Like I appreciated it and they went through the beats well. And the plan was actually like not a terrible plan. Like we can't get out of here. So I'm going to like put you in this box that, is like heat proof and fireproof. So like it's a perfect plan. So like on paper, it works out, but I didn't squeeze any tears out. I'm sorry to say. But you, though, you did not know this was going to happen. So this was a big surprise to you. So let me hear what your perspective is.
Well, I guess I want to start by saying that Do not try this at home, kids. You cannot survive a fire by getting into a freezer.
He just did. We saw it with our own 2 eyes.
Well, I did some research, Steve, because I was a little bit.
Oh no!
I was a little bit cynical, to be honest with you. I saw this. Now I have seen that Indiana Jones movie where Indiana Jones, where Harrison Ford survives a nuclear blast inside of a refrigerator. So I have seen that. But
yes, me too.
This is different. This is a fire. This is a fire. So when you're in a fire, all the oxygen is sucked out of the room. So going inside of an enclosed box for that length of time, you would not be able
she would
to
suffocate.
breathe.
So she would be fine for the fire, but she would suffocate.
Like
okay.
I don't know. I mean, I think that there's some holes in this. I also was thinking that box looked like it was made of metal. So it was like a metal freezer.
Well, it's insulated. It is. It's insulated on the inside, though. It is made of metal, but like it's designed
to like inside. But is Rich actually going to be able to tolerate lying on top of a metal box that's engulfed in a room in flames? I think that would boil his skin.
We found his body on the side, so I think it got a little too hot for him, and he was like, I'm gonna sit down here now, okay, Marge, my love. And she said, okay, I still won't come out.
Yeah. I mean, I thought I did not want Rich to die. I don't think I was like you. I wasn't sobbing or crying. I was sitting there going, what? They're going to get in this box and then he's going to spend time telling her the story? Shouldn't he be looking for a path out? Maybe there wasn't one, but it did seem like lying on there and talking instead of looking for a path out might be a better use of your time. And all I thought about was the Titanic thing while I was watching this.
Sure. Well, you really Steve Barnes'd it up there then, because that's what takes me out of shows sometimes. Is like the logic brain will still get going and then I get completely taken out of the scene, just like you described. That happens to me all the time. And this episode, it did not happen. I was on board with the story, like both watches through. I watched it twice and both times I was, you know, I mean, I still am thinking that the refrigerator thing was a good idea, even though like, you just told me it's not, and you're right. But story-wise, it just kind of worked for me. So it's just interesting to me that you're playing the role of me, and I'm playing a different role.
But you did say you agreed that it felt like Jack and Rose.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Because the second time I watched it was the first time that Heather watched it. So like I knew this scene was coming up. And, you know, Heather kind of had a smirk on her face and I was like, yeah, this is a real Titanic moment, right? And she was like, yes. She kind of like really latched on to that. I mean, I did think about it the first time, but the second time, that's kind of all I thought about, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, usually you're right. I'm not the one that gets hung up on these details, but I was like, what is he even asking her to get in this metal box, even if it's insulated? And I mean, maybe that's why he was lying on top of it to keep the insulation, from it being sealed. But it just seemed to me that the insulation, if you're in a house that's engulfed in flames, I did not see how that would survive a fire. Personally.
Not a fireproof box then. Okay.
And you know, it'd have to say fireproof because I was like, can you survive? What I Googled was, can you survive a fire inside of a freezer? And it said no right away and explained why. And I thought,
was that AI telling you that though? Don't ask AI.
It's not AI, but AI is collected from actual research people have done. Because I guess this could be a common thing. Like unless you have an actual room that you've set up and have fireproofed. Yeah. But all that being said, I did think Rich's words were sweet, that he remembered this story about seeing her for the first time.
Oh yeah.
With the hamsters.
Yeah.
And all of that. And Marge, it did feel like very adult conversation to be having for these little ones.
Yes.
I mean, we did see them bond over Jell-O, so we know they're very fond of each other. But
Yeah.
it did seem a little over dramatic in the way that it was done. Didn't necessarily feel like words that kids would say. His story, yes, but the whole like "I love you," I don't know.
This is a Stephen King property. Don't forget.
Yeah.
Least we forget.
Yeah. So this happens. During the black spot, Marge's arm lit on fire. Rich helped her put it out. And now Marge is surviving, and she probably has a massive case of survivor's guilt. But yeah, the rest of the episode, she doesn't do much, and we don't expect her to. She's very sad. And
I did have an expectation. I expected her to pick up that plane and fly it to Main Street in honor of Rich.
I did too.
It didn't happen.
I thought she was going to fly the plane. Maybe next episode, Steve.
Yes. Winter Fire. Here we go. Yes. Or January Embers or whatever it's called. All right.
Yeah. So should we move forward?
Yeah. Let's not go backward. Let's definitely go forward.
I sort of hate to leave Rich and Marge, but.
Didn't you threw Ronnie in that group too, right?
No.
Or Ronnie's in the next group?
She's in the next group, yeah.
Okay, well then, yeah, let's get to the next group then where Ronnie is.
Next group, we've got Charlotte, Hank, Ronnie, and Will.
Yeah, I think Ronnie is a good place to start because once again, she's kind of plays the sidekick role, but the note that I wrote beside her, which I think was like my big Ronnie note, was that she actually sees Pennywise eating. And we too, this is the first time when Ronnie sees Pennywise eating that woman. That's the first time we've actually seen Pennywise eating his victims too. Because I don't think we've ever seen that. We just see him scaring people and taking people away and tearing them up. But these are like our first eating scenes, right?
Sure. I mean, I can't say that I've been like, man, I've been waiting to see Pennywise eating somebody.
Well, I mean, that's his whole thing, the eater of worlds. That's like one of his like sub names. So yeah, I was excited to see this. I don't know. That's one of the things I like about this show is that it's, it's got Pennywise and he's scary. And Bill Skarsgård plays him well. So, I was excited. Not to put anything past Ronnie. I'm supposed to be talking about Ronnie here.
Right.
Ronnie saw Pennywise do this and she screamed. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They go to the standpipe to clean up his things. She and Marge go to Lily's house to tell her about Rich.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have all of the fallout from the black spot where she's there. And I will say, she's being kind of a rock for everybody. She's the one that's initiating all of these hugs, taking care of Marge.
That's true.
Well, that's not funny, but I feel like it's a different side of Ronnie in a way because she's been very focused, fair enough, on her dad's predicament and making sure that, wanting to know that he's safe. But it just takes one of her friends going through something that she gets an instinct, at least, to be a support to somebody else. So I thought that was nice to see that she's able to, shows that emotional intelligence that she can switch that on when needed.
She's rebellious by nature too, because remember, like Will's mom is like, "You're not leaving this house, young man." And then Hank comes around the corner. He's like, "You neither now, Ronnie. You're not leaving either." The very next scene, we see Ronnie on her bike riding with Marge across town. So she doesn't listen to her dad, but, Will listen to his mom, apparently.
I noticed that, and I wondered, I didn't see Ronnie at the house, though, so I wondered where Ronnie was. Because he did say she's not going anywhere either, but she did.
Mm-hmm. But she sure
but
did.
She wasn't there under his care at that time.
She'd taken off with Marge. She was under Marge's care.
Yeah. So with Charlotte and Hank, Charlotte goes to the black spot to meet Will and finds out that Hank is hiding in the woods again. And she has to help him find a new temporary home. And she says, "Hey, put on my husband's clothes." And I thought that was an interesting tactic because there's this tendency that, when we've seen in the past when somebody commits a crime, there's somebody wanted and the person's black, and then random black people will just get pulled over for something they didn't do. So I thought that was an interesting flip the script moment where she was using that prejudice in his favor, actually, to say, no one's going to notice that you're not my husband because you're a black guy that's wearing his clothes.
Yep. I thought that was a smart move, too. That, when Charlotte finds Hank back in the woods, like she's like, take off your clothes. Not because she wants to have sex with him, but because she wants to put his clothes on a dead body so that they think he's dead, which is exactly what she does. She puts his clothes on a corpse.
I couldn't figure out what they were doing with these clothes.
Yeah. Like they put his clothes on a corpse, and then later on you see like a cop like take those clothes and put them in a little box that says Hank Grogan's remains, and he puts that little box in a closet. So that was a smart move on Charlotte's part. Charlotte is roping Rose in with the whole Hank thing too. And you see that like Hank and Rose are familiar with each other. Like they know each other. Like not just, they don't just know who each other are. You get the sense that they're friends. So I thought that was significant, that maybe like Hank's about the same age Rose is. So maybe when we go back to 1920 or 1935, we might see like a little Hank Grogan talking about movies, which would be very cool, of course.
Well, this is a small town. Both of them work on Main Street. She works at Secondhand Rose. He works at the movie theater.
Oh, there is that too, duh.
Yeah, there's that.
But maybe they were kids together. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. Now, when she was making this phone call, were you wondering if she was calling Ingrid for a minute? Because that's what I thought when she was making this phone call. She said, if anybody can help, she can. And I was like, oh gosh, I hope she's not calling English.
She might be. I don't know. That's a really good point. I just assumed that she was calling like another, like, wise Native American woman like herself, like that's slightly older.
No, I meant when Charlotte made her phone call. Thankfully, she was calling Rose.
I thought you were saying Rose called another woman, like, I'm going to call somebody in Canada to help us get across the border. Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
yes.
Hank
crisis averted.
He got like a shower. He was getting cleaned up, and he came out, and he said, what are we going to do now? And she's like, I'm going to call somebody, and hopefully, they'll know what to do. And then I was like, I was glad it was Rose, but for some reason I thought it was Ingrid for a minute. Sure. And I was like, because her and Ingrid were who initially worked together to get Hank at the Black Spot.
That's right. This is something I realized about Hank from last episode that really carried over to this episode. Let's just hypothetically say that I was harboring a fugitive from the law, like at my house, who was suspected of killing children. Like, I'm positive, like, the last thing I would do would be to throw a party and to, like, invite all of my friends and to have, like, a big shindig at the same place where I'm harboring this fugitive.
Are you talking about the fact that they had a party at the Black Spot? But but what you have to understand is the Black Spot was made to have a party, and then they hid Hank there.
No, it was made for a place for the airmen to, like, blow off steam after work.
Yeah.
So, like, they should, while Hank was there, maybe they should have laid low a little bit. Instead, they invited, like, multiple singers to come sing and, like, multiple bands to play. And this is just what I'm thinking. He could have been like in a much quieter environment.
Before they brought Hank.
And it really served the plot really well too, I guess. We'll give him that. But Hank like gave himself up though. Dick first off like spoke up big time. Like there was a different Halloran in the room at that moment because he was like sticking up for Hank. He was like talking trash to like a white man with a gun in his face. And he wasn't scared of him at all because, Dick Halloran was like, dude, we're like, we're military dudes. Don't mess with us. He really had a lot of bravado in that moment. And Hank just comes on out like, all right, enough. Let's do this. More good stuff for Hank's character.
Yeah, he was willing to go with them, but then the men in the room were like, nah, not today.
Yeah.
And I guess that kind of leaves us with Will. He doesn't do a lot this episode rather than be a good friend to his friends, but he ends up staying home alone on the advice or the orders of his parents.
Right.
And that's when Pennywise visits and traps him in the deadlights. Now, the only reason that the entity was able to do this is because that shard was removed.
Thank you for saying that, because I was going to say it if you didn't. I was like, yeah, he was not at his house in Derry. He was at the military base, which is supposed to be safe ground, and it's not anymore.
So I wonder why. I mean, it might just be plot, had to happen. But I was thinking, is there any reason why they chose to pick up Will? Why Pennywise chose to pick up Will out of everywhere he could have gone?
Yeah, I don't know either. I think that's going to be something we're just going to have to either speculate about or just wait and see, because I don't see any reason why he would have chosen Will over top of, Marge or Ronnie, for that matter.
Or Lily.
Well, Lily has the dagger, so he's scared of Lily.
Oh, that's right.
Other than that, I can't really see a reason why he would have chosen Will, unless he just kind of, he being it, knows that, Will is Leroy's son and Leroy is mixed in with the military somehow. Because I do have a suspicion that the military is inadvertently working for it without even realizing it.
Mm-hmm. Before we move forward, there is one more thing I forgot to say about Pennywise, which is the teeth.
Oh, yeah, the buck teeth.
The buck teeth.
Yeah.
We found out the origin of the buck teeth is from this beaver, or it's not a beaver, it's a gopher.
Oh, the gopher, you're right. Yes.
Right. The gopher was part of the act, and a big part of the act. And so Pennywise scanned all these facial expressions and put the face of Bob Gray and the gopher together.
That qualifies for Easter egg territory right there, I'd say. That's pretty good. I didn't notice that. And yeah, Will gets caught in the deadlights of it at the end here. And I like Pennywise's new look now, because he was like sitting there in like that blood. So his like face is like half covered in blood, red on the bottom. And that's the look he had when he attacked Will in the kitchen there. And I really like it. I think it's cool. And it matches that Bearhead Indian person who was guiding Dick Halloran around. Yeah. They also had the half red, half white face.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're supposed to be like parallels or opposites of one another, but it's definitely there for us to notice.
Yeah. I mean, that's very true.
Like, I was almost thinking that because first off, that Bearhead Indian guy like led Dick out and led them to safety. That's all good. Yay. The Indian's a good guy. But then the Bearhead woman, I should say, it's a woman.
It's a woman.
The Bearhead leads them to the shard so they can dig the shard up and get rid of the shard. And the fact that happens tied in with the fact that they have the red and the white face makes me think that maybe that Bearface woman is not actually good, not actually leading Dick Halloran around in a good way.
No, I think that's the war chief. That was in the story.
Maybe an image of the war chief under its control.
No, because it helped Halloran.
Right, it helped Halloran. It helped Halloran by leading Halloran to the shard so that the shard could be dug up so that it could escape.
Well, I wasn't talking about that discovery. Okay, we're going to talk about our next pair, and we'll go back to this in a minute. Our next pair is Rose and Daniel.
Okay.
Not a lot to say about them. Again, I think they're going to be more important next episode. But we do have this scene where they say the augury's over.
Yeah.
See you in 27 years. See you in 27 years. Yeah.
That's significant that guy called them shit asses, by the way, because that's like a common like phrase that I learned this from reservation dogs. That's what they call. That's like their common like insult to each other is shit asses. It's a phrase I've never heard until recently and very popular in that community.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now we know.
I don't know. I thought that was another Easter egg. It was a shit ass Easter egg.
I won't be borrowing that one anytime soon. So Charlotte shows up with Hank. Rose lets them in, and Daniel comes in during their conversation to let them know a pillar has been removed. I was pretty impressed with Daniel, the fact that even after all he's been through, he's still hanging out at his post, keeping a watch on things.
Well, I'm glad he is, so you can let them know what's going on. I mean, I think they would have figured it out anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe they wouldn't have figured out that a pillar had been moved, or they wouldn't have known which one had been moved. He actually saw it happen. So, yeah, he was looking good, too.
I was really hoping that with this information, Rose was going to show up at the base and really let Shaw have it, you know, when all that stuff was happening at the end.
Somebody needs to.
Yeah. All right, now we're to Dick Halloran. So
and the whole military angle now, yeah.
Yeah, he tries to eliminate the issue of the men by saying they are misinformed. And he was in the kitchen, and he used these rotted floorboards underneath the leaky fridge to make his escape route. Because we talked about that last week, that he made a comment. He said, these floorboards are going to rot. Well, thank God they did, because that's how he got out.
Yeah. He started out this episode pretty strong, like standing up to Clint Bowers, stomping on the floorboards, getting everybody out. But pretty much once he starts talking to Bearhead there, that's when like stuff goes south, because like he was saying before, like they don't talk to him unless he instigates conversation. And then once he instigated conversation, now they're like everybody who died in the black spot is now hanging around with Dick Halloran, telling him to make it right.
Yeah. Well, he had a moment to escape, and he didn't, because he saw Ronnie saying, "Where's my dad?" And so again,
that's right.
Yes, as much as he's sort of, hey, you're feeding the wrong people this information, he almost fled tail and ran. You know, he got through those floorboards and he was about ready to leave. And then he heard Ronnie. So then he came out and he got Hank, Will, and Ronnie out of the black spot. I mean, otherwise Will probably wouldn't have made it. So he
tried to get Rich and Marge too. Like he was like
tried to get them
on the way to get them as well.
But he says to this, you know, he first sees the spirit. He's the first spirit he sees as a soldier.
Right.
I wasn't sure what the significance of that was, but he sees a soldier with his jaw blown off. He doesn't really say anything to him, but he next sees the spirit of, I think it's Nakani is the name of the war chief who is from the story. If it's the same one, he says, okay, over here. And then he says, help me find the kids. So the only reason he risked that is to save other people. But now he's sort of being, in a way, punished, or the thing that he didn't want to happen, because now they're talking to him.
Exactly.
But he did that. I feel like that was a brave thing for him to do. He deserves a medal for that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and they give out those things in the military too. And so I think he might be on his way to get one of those, because even though we're not really big fans of Shaw or Fuller or any of these guys, they all pretty much credit like Dick and Leroy, like, you know, with doing a good job. I don't think they're going to screw them over. So maybe they will give him a medal after all this is over.
Yeah. Well, okay. But going back to him, though, and his actions, he now tells the group that, if we follow this spirit of this war chief, we can find a shard. I feel like the only reason he did that is because he's hoping somehow this will stop again. Maybe if he gets everything in place, he can go back to normal. I don't know how that logic, but Shaw has told him that they're going to find the pillars and capture the creature.
Right.
And, you know, maybe he figures if he helps the military accomplish their goal, then everything will go quiet again.
Yeah, he can close that box in his head. I think that's exactly right. And he's under the impression from Shaw that that's what their mission is. Yeah, we found out this episode that Shaw's been kind of sneaky about that this whole time. Not exactly telling the truth about what the mission is to anyone, I think, except for Fuller. Well, maybe the scientists all know, because they're pretty amped on burning that shard in the incinerator, which was, did you look that up too? Like for a shard to come from outer space with it inside of it, it had to come through Earth's atmosphere and it survived that.
Yeah.
So can it be destroyed in a common 1962 incinerator?
I don't know. I was getting ready when they were gonna boil this or, try to incinerate it. I was ready for something really bad to happen besides the entity getting out. I was thinking like they wouldn't be able to destroy it.
Sure,
or
me too.
when they tried to burn it, the little baby came out and started chopping up everybody with a sword.
That would have been very fun. It really would have been.
Like, you can't destroy this thing. I thought that's what it was going to be like. Yeah.
I wouldn't think you could incinerate it. And we didn't actually see it incinerate it. We just saw it kind of like sink into the coals. But that doesn't mean anything. But how were you feeling like when they dug this thing up out of that turtle shell? Because we're at that moment now, right?
Yeah, we're at our last group. We have Leroy, Shaw, and Fuller. But yeah, how did I feel about this? Yeah, go ahead.
Fuller's instigating pulling that shell out, and they take the obsidian. What is it? A shard. One of the pillars. That's what. It's not a shard. It's a pillar. Mm-hmm. And they put it in the little box, and they're getting ready to take it out of there. And Leroy's like, "Hey, hold on. What are you doing?" I immediately thought that was odd too. I was like, why are they taking it away? It needs to stay where it's at. Yeah. Were you jumping out of your seat too?
Well, I wasn't jumping out of my seat. I don't have that dramatic of reactions when I watch TV shows. I'm staying pretty still on the couch. But I guess I didn't initially think anything about it until they were ready to burn it. But the thing that I thought was really funny is the way this whole thing is filmed is very Indiana Jones.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you felt that at all.
Absolutely. The way they were carting it around.
Yeah, first they find, it's encased in a turtle shell. I'm just like, why? Okay.
Well, they showed the kids burying it in turtle shells. That's how they buried them.
And I mean, the tribe does talk about Maturin, so they know about. So they buried it in this turtle shell. They pull it out, and the music is very Indiana Jones even.
Oh yeah.
And they put it in this tiny box that has straw in it and close it up, and it looks like the Ark of the Covenant when they put that in a box.
Mm-hmm,
and they put it in this truck, but it's a big truck and it's a tiny box.
Yes.
And then they take it to the base and they put it on a cart. And then they wheel the cart over like 5 whole feet and take it off of the cart.
It was very two guys
dramatic.
Pushing the cart.
Yeah,
two guys.
Very dramatic.
And there's that symbol on the top of the cart too, and they're like running equipment over it and taking pictures of it. Yeah, it was very Indiana Jones. Yes.
Yeah, I just kept thinking of that, the scene when they're excavating the Ark of the Covenant and then they find it and it's like, and everybody's gathered around. But yeah, Leroy really steps up here. He has the biggest character swerve of anyone, maybe in this entire season that we've ever seen.
Yeah, he's like gun wielding, like the pillar of goodness. Like he's the hero of the story here, like coming in there and stopping everything. And I mean, I'm thinking, Fuller is this asshole. Fuller is not doing what he's supposed to be doing. But then I find out, oh, wait, Fuller is just doing what Shaw's telling him to do. So really it's Shaw that I feel betrayed by because it's all Shaw's deal.
I feel betrayed by Shaw, but also Fuller because he should be asking these same questions. And he's Leroy is always, we see him as being obedient and Fuller is being a little too obedient.
Oh, yeah. I bet his wife gets really mad at him. Like you see Charlotte getting mad at Leroy. I mean, Fuller's wife is full-time pissed at him all the time because he always does what Daddy says, what Shaw says to do. And yeah, Shaw does the whole like villain explanation thing at the end of this episode too, which is really nice. Like he does like the James Bond like villain, like I'm going to explain to you why I'm doing everything that I'm doing while I have a gun pointed at me and, it's all for the greater good, always for the greater good, Lindsey. It's just because they want, to instill fear in their citizens so their fearful citizens will listen to them. Yeah, this whole military plot, this whole military angle is very, very silly. and very, very it oriented, I think.
It is in a way, but I was a little happy about it because a lot of people have been making posts on Facebook and different groups saying, I don't understand this plot or this plan that the military has.
Right.
And why would this make sense? And trying to make sense of it. And I'm like, well, isn't that the whole point? The plan
Right.
doesn't work. Because
Right.
Pennywise is not destroyed. So, of course, the plan is going to not work. So, trying to make sense of the plan is sort of a losing game because we know whatever plan they come up with, it doesn't work. And that seems very on par for military plans or
Yes.
when people ever think,
That's right.
oh, if we just do X, Y, and Z, we will have control of this. And of course, you do not have control of it. It goes off the rails. It goes really badly.
Yeah, I think they're all drinking dairy water. They're not thinking straight. And, you know, Shaw has been given like a lot of power in his position. And he has this like harebrained idea. And the 1962 military is just throwing money at him. Like, okay, sounds good. If you think it'll work, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we're going to reap this all next episode.
Yeah. I've given up. I told you I had hope for General Shaw. I think that's kind of gone away because my hope was based on the fact that Rose might be able to talk sense into him. And the way he was talking before, where he was saying, I want to protect my country by getting control of this thing, that made sense to me. But the whole, oh, we're not going to take control of it. We're going to let it loose because then people will be scared and we can control them more easily.
Right.
This is a bad idea, General Shaw.
Does not compute with me either. Not working.
But we haven't fully, I don't think we've fully given Leroy his due yet. But yeah, he shows up, he's gun wielding, he pulls out the gun in front of everybody, and you know you're going to be court-martialed or whatever, you know, you're something. But he is, I was thinking, wouldn't Charlotte be proud of him right now, knowing that he's not going along with things? And maybe this character swerve wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the fact of his wife or even the fact of his son, because he, you know, when his son stands up to him and slaps him, Charlotte is like, I'm ready to leave. You know, I'm ready to leave you, or I'm leaving you temporarily at least until you come to your senses. And maybe if he didn't have such a strong wife, he wouldn't have gotten to this point. So, so good. I like their family, good family dynamic going.
Yeah.
So he tries to, I think throughout the show, though, he's shown maybe he goes along with things, but he does ask questions. He does say, wait a second, what are you doing? Why are you questioning Daniel this way and treating him this way? You know, so he doesn't, he does ask questions.
Yeah, we don't always like him, but he does always seem like he has his head in the right place. We haven't seen him like, I don't know, like he finally wants to leave Derry now. So he's finally on board with everything.
Right.
And according to what Shaw said, you're right. He could be court-martialed for his actions, but Shaw tells him that like, oh no, what you've taken part in here, you know, you're a hero. So Shaw is still going to continue covering it up. He could very well like court-martial Leroy, but I think he knows that Leroy would talk and ask questions and maybe make more sense than anybody else would. So instead they're going to give him like the hero's shut up reward, like,
right.
Or maybe they'll allow him to move to like a different military base anywhere in the United States he wants to, because he obviously doesn't want to stay in Derry.
Yeah, but we know he does.
Yeah, eventually he's gonna be drawn back.
I don't know if he never leaves. I have a feeling that he never leaves. That whatever, you know, something's gonna happen. We know that something happens to Will, and you know, then he ends up taking care of Mike. Leroy ends up taking care of Mike. So whatever happens beats him down enough that he ends up becoming a farmer and taking care of sheep.
Yeah, I mean, given everything else up, yeah, that kind of makes sense. The stuff he's seen, the life he's led at this point.
Yeah.
I kind of want to give up and go raise sheep. So, yeah, he must definitely want to.
Is there anything else you want to say about characters?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it back again because you were mentioning Shaw, how we're not liking him. You really wanted to like him, but you didn't. But I'm very invested in this show now. Like it a lot. Like the fact that we're going to get to see Rose and Shaw as kids in the next season. Like, as they're going to go back to 1935. I like the fact that we're going to see Ingrid for sure. And that we're definitely going to, it looks like we're going to be seeing the young Hank. Cause I really think we're getting the vibe that Hank was part of like some crew when he was a kid too. And maybe even like Clint Bowers might play the role of like a young a-hole in town who terrorizes the nerd kids. I don't know. I just wanted to just remind us that, was I saying Hank? I meant to say Shaw, like Shaw and Rose. I'm very much looking forward to getting back to that story when Shaw and Rose and Hank and all these kids were like younger back in 1935.
Well, I think what we saw when we saw Rose and Francis, it was 1908. So the 1935 scenes we've seen are Ingrid at the hospital.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
She's in her 20s. So I think when they're kids, it's going to be the third season.
Well, even so, my whole point being like seeing that Rose and Hank grew up in the same town together. They're about the same age and they know each other. That just made me excited knowing that we might see like a young movie loving Hank Grogan hanging out in the future seasons.
Okay, fair enough. I wanted to just talk for a minute about the black spot itself. You already mentioned this, but it was filmed in one take, that whole sequence. And I thought they did a nice job on that. There was lots of chaos, people getting shot, people confused, moving into each other, the way that the camera had to negotiate all of that space. I thought that it was filmed really well. And like you said, it took half the episode kind of seeing all of that.
It was disorienting too. Like my first watch through, I was wanting different camera angles because I was like, what's happening over there? I can't see what's happening. And then they panned away. Why? And so like when I realized it was a single camera shot that made me forgive that moment. But yeah, I think it was designed to be confusing and designed to put you in that spot. And it was well done. And I saw some behind the scenes stuff where they were working with some real fire. I know obviously they weren't in a burning building, but you know, they had to set some fires and do some acting around some fires and some smoke. And it shows. I think everybody did a good job of being very scared and frantic and freaked out in this scene.
Yeah.
So the actors pulled it off too. You can't really pull this off unless your actors are acting appropriately.
The first time I watched it, I was focused on where are the characters I care about.
Yes.
So that's what I was looking at.
Same.
But the second time I was appreciating the way it was filmed and how, somebody goes to the door to do something and then they get shot in the head. So that person is now not there anymore. that was trying to do something.
Right.
At one point, that girl, Noreen, she's the one we see get eaten. She just sort of gives up at one point, and that's when Pennywise comes to hang out with her because she's given up all hope.
Yeah, easy pickings.
All right, so are we ready to rate the episode?
Yeah, I think so. Would you like to go first?
I can go first, yes. I'm going to give this episode still a very strong 4 out of 5 turtles. I thought it was a well-done episode. I would have liked to see them do things differently. Now, I haven't seen next week's episode, but in my head, the black spot was going to be the climax. And they've set up this plot twist now where it has been set out of free of its cage. So there's going to be bad things happen. I just wish that I feel like they should have given the black spot more weight than they are doing in the big picture. But 4 out of 5.
I hear you. Okay. So, I'm thinking about our rating system in accordance with itself. And I think maybe I'm rating things differently than I should be. Maybe I'm rating things inconsistently. I don't know. You've given the last 3 episodes 5 out of 5, and you gave this one 4 out of 5. The last episode was the first episode I gave 5 out of 5 turtles. And I felt compelled because of that to give this episode also a 5 out of 5 turtles because I enjoyed it just as much as I did the previous episode, but for different reasons. I think maybe it's because we're later in the season now and I'm a little more invested in the story than I was before. Maybe that's why I'm putting this on such a higher pedestal. But I really like everything they did with Ingrid and with Pennywise. I think the whole military wrap up was a really fun reveal that it's all incompetency. Rich's death could have been handled differently, but I definitely forgive it for what it is. So I'm kind of a sucker, I guess. Maybe I'm not a bad rater, but I still want to give this one 5 out of 5 just because I enjoyed it all the way through. And there was never a moment that I threw my arms up in the air in despair. I was just enjoying it all the way through.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm enjoying the show. I'm glad we're doing it and looking forward to the season ender.
That's next week, baby.
Next week. Yeah. All right. So how about MVPs? Who are you liking this episode?
Yeah, I'll go first on this one. I'm giving it up for Dick Halloran. I'm not sure if I gave it to him last episode or not. I don't think I did. But I give it to him for standing up to the attackers in the beginning of the episode, for his guidance and his leadership throughout this episode, for the way he talks shit to his superior officers and then just kind of sheepishly, half-assedly apologizes for it. I don't know. I like everything about Dick Halloran, and this episode, he deserves it. So, and yeah, you said he deserved a medal. This is his medal. He gets the MVP of Sweet Child of Time. So there you go.
This makes me happy because I remember an episode where you said, I'm not understanding the uproar about Dick Halloran. So I'm glad that you've come to appreciate his character.
And I don't love his hairstyle, but I realize now what I don't like about it. And it's taken me this long to figure it out. And I just recently watched the documentary that's taken down Sean Puffy Combs, the Reckoning documentary. I watched this recently, and all of his friends were talking trash about him now that they're able to. And one of his friends was calling him a Gumby looking dude. He was like, that Gumby haircut he's got. And I was like, that's exactly it. That's the same haircut that Dick Halloran has, the Gumby. So that's my whole issue with his haircut. But yes, MVP, proud man. He deserves my love.
Interestingly enough, Caleb from Stranger Things, who is the black male character in that show,
okay, I
feel has the same haircut.
Yeah.
And people
he has more of the kid and play.
People are complaining about his hair too. So I would think perhaps this is supposed to be a style, but a lot of the people that are complaining about the hair are black. So I don't know. It's confusing to me. So I guess this is not a good haircut.
It's not.
Okay, my MVP is going to be Leroy Hanlon.
Okay, buddies with Dick.
Because of his swerve, his character swerve. I didn't know if it's going to happen. I mean, last week he was hitting his son.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know this is a good guy, a good dude. He's really brave and he is a man of excellence. So I'm glad that he's shown, he's going to do what's right. And he did that here, even though it meant going against everybody else in the room. So I think that takes a lot of courage.
Absolutely.
So what's going to happen next? What are our predictions? We have one more episode to go.
Predictions. Well, we know the cage is open.
The cage is open.
The augury is not yet complete. We thought it happened, but Pennywise is out there. Deadlight victims. We got Will and Ingrid. So that's my predictions. Is we're going to see Will and Ingrid not quite being themselves, and yeah, Will could survive this, but Will could also do some weird stuff while he's under the spell of it.
Yeah, I mean, somehow all of the high schoolers, the school kids, get roped into this. So I don't know.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, in the trailer.
Oh, the patty cakes.
Not just the patty cakes, but there's in the next week trailer, what I see is, you remember how the people at the black spot, all of the men in masks, they went outside and they chained the door closed.
Right.
And everybody's banging on the doors. They show a moment like that in the trailer where the kids are at the gymnasium.
That's right.
And they run up and they're banging on the door. So somehow the kids, Pennywise comes to the school, I guess. I don't know. Pennywise is like, school days, happy golden rule days. Yeah, so that, I think Lily's going to have a moment.
Oh, sure.
I think Daniel and Rose and the people of the Shoka Piwa people are going to get involved, because it was interesting when they were having their group meeting, and the woman who's the new storyteller, or the keeper, they called her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She says, all of those people and all we can do is watch.
Right.
And Rose says, well, we help as many as we can. But I have a feeling that that particular character did not like that answer. So I feel like that especially with these shards being destroyed, they're going to get involved somehow. It's going to be, all of our characters are going to be in this final episode, of course. I think they're going to perhaps show little tells about, the next, the cycle we see in the movies, the one from It proper. We might see something that shows that Marge is going to name her kid after Rich. I don't know. They'll show a little homage or something.
Oh, yeah, they got to do that.
If that's in fact a thing. And
it's got to be.
And let's call out the paper airplanes. The paper airplanes are gonna, or the balsa wood
right
planes,
not paper.
We'll come back into the plot somehow
and finally make it to Main Street. I hope so.
Yeah, or Marge will be like, "This is for you, Rich," and she'll fly the plane, and it'll like penetrate Pennywise right in the eyeball.
Oh yeah. Well, yes, I'm interested to see how Will is going to get used, because I know he's going to get used somehow. This makes me think about The Shining, which of course is tied in with it now. Mm-hmm. And there's a scene where Wendy locks Jack up into the walk-in cooler, and all the ghosts, they want Jack to get out, but they have to use a particular method in order to get him out, because they're just ghosts. So they have to use something within our world, because within the spirit world, they can't unlock that door. That's why I think that Will play a big role here, much in the same way. It can't get to the kids in a certain way, but if it infiltrates the kids, then it has an in. So yeah, Will's going to lead the kids to danger. That's what I'm trying to say. Long story short, TLDR.
Okay. Do we have any closing announcements or plugs?
We as in me?
We as in, well, I have something. Sorry, I have a topic that I want to bring up before we do. I guess it's a topic and a plug at the same time.
Oh yeah, 2 for 1. Do it.
Yeah. Well, you might know what I'm gonna say, Steve. But we did get news this week from our beloved Baron Bo Odar.
Oh yes, okay.
So we've been talking about the fact that we believe that he and partner and marriage partner Yontif Fries are going to be working on Welcome to Derry season 2. Well, that future is now a little less unclear.
Yeah.
Reason being is we got news that their new series is going to be called Struel Peter. They have a new series coming that looks like it might even open in January, which is based on a German children's book of folk tales. And I have bought my copy already of the book. It was $15. You can get on. Not that I'm promoting. Sorry, just cut all that, James. Okay,
go to your local library.
Go to your local library or interlibrary loan it sometimes, or you can get your independent bookstore.
Have you read the book though, or do you just own it now?
I think the question is, it has arrived at my home address, but I'm in another state. Yeah, but I'll get it in a few days. It's supposed to be 25 pages long, or it's a very short book.
It'll take you all year to read that one, Lindsey.
This story is also the same story. Struel Peter is also the basis for Edward Scissorhands. So there might be some familiar elements for people that know that story. But anyway, the big mystery is now, is the collaboration between Baron, Yantje, and the Muschietis related to Struwwel Peter, or are they still going to work with Welcome to Derry? It could be they're doing both of these shows, but it could be that the Muschietis are producers on their show rather than them working with them on Welcome to Derry.
If we could predict things, what my prediction, this is really my hope is that they've already filmed and completed this German project, and it's going to be aired in January, and you and I can talk about it on podcasts, and it'll be fun. And then because it's already been done and they've already worked on it, then they will move and they'll be like working on Welcome to Derry Part 2 or Season 2. Hopefully it's like we get everything we want.
Everything we want?
Yes.
I don't think that happens very often, but
and then after they finish Welcome to Derry Season 2, they work on 1899 Season 2. Oh, it'd be wonderful.
So, in another wild plot twist in all this, which I think we should mention, is that this show, before their shows, Dark and 1899, have been with Netflix. They now were not working with Netflix, and they were working with HBO. But now Netflix has bought HBO.
Phew, thank God.
Wait, why is that thank God? I'm thinking
because they can stay on Netflix now. Now the Yantje and Bo can stay on Netflix.
I was thinking poor Bo and Yantje, like they're trying to get away from Netflix, and now they're back under the Netflix umbrella, even though that wasn't maybe their hope.
I think the Netflix merger is awful. I'm really upset about it, actually, because it seems like it's a move towards going back to like cable and like having one service that everybody has to subscribe to. But I just, I only cheered because, their projects will all be in one streaming service and we can watch them all in one place.
I don't know. Theoretically, they said they're still going to be separate services, but we'll see.
For now. We'll see.
I don't know. I think people are upset about Netflix because they feel like they're very quick to cancel shows. And I don't know, maybe or maybe not. That's also true of HBO. But we'll see. And I'm looking forward to more information about this show. And I'm hoping it will be in the United States because it's been announced as a German show, this Struwwel Peter. So hopefully we'll also get a chance to see it.
I mean, even if it is only going to be in German, then we can at least get Manifold Mold to like share his screen with us. We can watch it with him, and then we can podcast about it, and then translate our podcast to German, and then release it over there. We'll be all good.
I'm not sure you should be sharing how we're having our friends illegally share their services with us, Steve.
It's not illegal. Okay. You can do it on Discord. It's all good.
I'm not sure that the streaming services are down with Discord, but okay.
Just don't tell anybody. It's all good.
So with that, it's my announcement and a plug because I don't have anything else to plug. How about you, Steve?
Just keep on listening to Sweet Child of Time and One of My Stories. And sure, let's give out James a plug. If you want to support our shows and support our editor, head over to patreon.com/MLMpod. Because that's where his stuff is, and his Discord server is there. Lindsey and I are also on his Discord server, and sometimes I post pictures of my dog, and it's fun. So, yeah, that's my only plug.
All right, thank you. Well, and thank you to all of you who have joined us in this episode of Welcome to Derry. May all the clowns you meet be kind. May all the friends you met be kept safe in your hearts, not in a freezer. And we hope to see you all next week for episode 8, Winter Fire. Goodbye.
Bye.